6 defeats in a row. The last home game of the season against a side who we haven't beaten since they were promoted. This is the true story of when Salford came to play. Welcome to an all-new edition of Look Back and Am, the official Newport City Radio podcast from us, Newport County fans. From exclusive interviews to interesting inside insights. Since 2010, we've been the best place to be for all things audio, and we're giving you even more in 24. Coming up in the next 45 minutes or so, I'm Luke. I'm asking all the big questions. I'll also have a post-match press conference with Graham Coughlin, and I'd like to ask, where do we go from here?
I'm Stephen, I've got your commentary highlights, and I'd like to ask, why have we run out of ideas?
Never miss out by following us wherever you find this podcast. Listen live at 2 p.m. on a Sunday and 7 p.m. on a Wednesday after almost all League 2 home matches and certain special editions. More on that in a bit.
Right here, right now.
Newport City Radio.
Now, you will hear in that top of the podcast sequence, there was no Mr. Ian Lambsdale with us this week.
No, he's on the beach already.
He is?
He's down tools.
Followed half the Newport County players to the beach.
Well, there is an argument
argument to be made there. But in his place, there's only one man that we could get to fill the shoes of Mr. Lambsdale. Kieron's with us again. Hi, Kieron.
Yeah, hi. I feel like I should also be on the beach equally as much, but we're here instead. Yeah, football, right? Loads of fun.
Indeed. Yeah, as I said, on the back of 6 defeats going into this game, Stephen, and as I mentioned in our show opener, we haven't beaten Salford in the league since they got promoted.
Yeah, well...
Talk to us about their recent form.
Yeah, Salford, they'd lost their previous 4 matches. A bit like Newport County, had only 2 wins in their last 10. They won 2, drawn 2, lost 6. Salford had lost their previous 2 away matches, and the last time that they lost 3 away matches was in September 2021, when they lost the first 3 away matches of the season. Salford won the previous meeting 2-1 in September, and had won the 5 previous meetings between the clubs. And as you were saying, in the last 10 meetings between the clubs, Salford had won 7, drawn 2, lost 1. The only defeat coming in the FA Cup 3-0 in November 2020.
And we know for the last away game of the season, people like to go a bit nuts. And I think at times in that game yesterday, Kieron, you put on social media that you were looking more at what their outfits were, and there were some pretty out there outfits yesterday.
I don't think out there is the right term, actually.
No?
I think for a final away day of the season, it was pretty standard. You see there were a few Teletubbies there. There was, in the top left corner of the away stand, there was a big kind of dinosaur costume of sort. There were a few people dressed up as bananas, and there were all sorts on that away.
Yeah.
And
something you'd see in the world of darts, like Ali Pali at Christmas time and things like that.
Yeah, but on a sunny Rodney Parade in Newport, when it's not met by the prettiest game of football by any stretch of the imagination, at least I had looking at away fans to look forward to.
Yeah, unfortunately, from where I was sat, you couldn't see them. That would have probably made it a bit more interesting, to be honest. Yeah, the highlight for me was the balloon being pushed around the compede. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to on-pitch matters. The Newport County lined up yesterday with Nick Townsend in goal, back 3 of Matty Baker, Nelson Sanker and Carl Jameson, Harrison Bright as right back, and Matty Bonswell returning at left wing back, Scott Bennett in midfield with alongside Bryn Morris, Omar Bogle just in behind the front 2 of Luke Jeffcott and Will Evans. You were at the game yesterday, Stephen.
Yep.
Should we hear what you and Chris got up to?
Let's do it, man.
We weren't good enough. We weren't good enough all afternoon.
No, we won't.
That's me and Chris Chappell doing a brilliant impersonation of Graham Coughlin there.
Graham Coughlin, what's going on here? Technical issues, as always, on This Won't Make the Podcast. We always encourage you to listen live to...
You don't get this on Spreaker.
You know you don't. Yeah. No, you don't. Are you actually ready to hear?
Are we going to do an impersonation of Joe Dunn this time?
Well, your Irish impression's always good, Stephen. Should we actually hear from the man from you and Chris?
Yeah, go on then.
Good afternoon from Rodney Parade for the final time this season, as Graham Coughlin's injury-ravaged team tries to end its 6-game losing streak against a side Newport have never beaten in the league, Salford City. Chris Chappell here on commentary alongside a man who has not yet reached for his flip-flops, even though the footballing summer is almost upon us. Stephen Howe.
Yeah, so I've almost got my beach towel packed. Yeah, good afternoon, Chris. Yeah, let's do this one last time for the 23-24 season. Yeah, Graham Coughlin hoping to end the season at home anyway on a strong point. But yeah, as you said, not the best opposition to come up against in Salford City, who we've never beaten, and got I think 1 win in 10 matches against in a cup competition. But yeah, hoping for a good afternoon. There's a nice atmosphere here at Ronnie Parade, so it should be a good one.
Jeff Cott cushions it into the path of Bright, and the ball just bounces away from him. Gets it back. Left-footed curler towards Bogle, and he heads it wide. And he's really angry with himself there. Header from about 8 yards from goal. Bright found him in the middle. And he had to try and work it towards the far post and just didn't quite get enough direction on it, and it glanced wide of the far stick there, and it stays a 0-0. Good chance there.
Yeah, brilliant play by Harrison Bright. Showed good determination to win the ball back. Dug out a lovely cross for Bogle. Yeah, just couldn't get his header on target, could he? But best chance of the match so far.
Corner from the right, curled in towards the middle of the goal. Townsend doesn't get hold of it, and it's blocked on the line, and again by Morris, who just got his head in the way. Salford had 2 efforts that were smashed at goal, and they were both blocked out in first half stoppage time. Really good defending with Townsend out of his goal. So Bogle, the left-footed option, who won the free kick, and Bryn Morris, who's shooting from distance, has been there for all to see. Most of his 8 Newport County goals have been very memorable ones, including scoring against Manchester United here. 5 in the wall. Upstairs, Bogle over the wall, and it just clips a crossbar on its way through. Really good effort from Omar Bogle, but it had a fraction too much height on it. Keeper beaten, but it flicked the goal frame and went behind.
Yeah, it was a really, really good free kick, wasn't it? Looked like it was going into that postage stamp, didn't it, in the top corner, but unfortunately he clipped the bar and went over. As you said, keeper was beaten.
Baker's lost it. Namai, 2-on-1 here. Sanka comes across, trying to block it. Namai, but Baker came in and timed his tackle to perfection. Just about got a toe on the ball, and Kelly Namai, who should have taken that opportunity there, spurns the chance for Salford. Baker's header doesn't go where he planned, and Sanka loses it out to Hendry, edge of the area. Townsend with a fine save, flying to his left, keeps out the shot from Callum Hendry. Comes through to Garbutt, right on the byline, and it's headed a goal by Smith and comes back off the post. Late chance for Salford City. Smith making his 6'6" frame. Caused some damage in the box, but it wasn't quite the right side of the post. Luamba gets past Evans again, drives towards goal, and hits the other post, and is slotted in by the substitute Smith. And the losing streak looks set to go on. Late drama and late disappointment for everyone here, other than that pocket of 137 Salford City fans in the corner. Matt Smith gets his 25th goal of the season, and surely the match winner.
Yeah, that's it. And, I said it, didn't I? Evans getting beaten far too easy, and Luamba had the better of him there again, and it's finally paid off. And who do you want the ball to fall to? Well, your 24-goal striker, and he's calm as you like, he just put it straight in the net. And yeah, given their second half performance, I'd say Salford probably deserve it, to be honest.
And there it is, the final whistle. Stoppage time sadness for Newport County. as the losing streak extends to 7. And they've got to go to Bradford City next week on the last day of the season to try and find a way of stopping the record, equalling that of Graham Wesley's time at the club. 8 defeats in that eventful season. It looked like an end of season game is going to end without incident, but Salford had a little bit more in the tank, and some late efforts eventually proved fruitful as Matt Smith was introduced the top scorer. His header hit the post, and then seconds later a good run from fellow sub Junior Luamba, where his effort hit the left post, it bounced back to Smith and he tucked in to win the game for Salford City. It's been a really disappointing end to this campaign. The fans will no doubt clap the team off for having a good go at the playoffs earlier on, but the losses have stacked up at the end of the season, and today it was Newport County 0, Salford City 1.
Thank you to Chris and yourself there, Stephen, for trying to sound entertaining during what can only be described as dross, I think.
Yeah.
A dross game of football.
We do our best.
You do an excellent job on commentary. King of the co-commentary, obviously, and Chris is king of the commentary as well.
He is, yeah. And he's the king of the edit as well.
He is, putting you together, making you sound even better and even more positive than normal. You tried to cut in earlier your best impression of the man.
Yep.
Should we
Is Graham Coughlin going to now do an impression of me and Chris Chappell?
Should we find out?
It'd be good if he did, wouldn't it?
Should we find out?
Yeah, let's find out.
We weren't good enough. We weren't good enough all afternoon. We had a couple of good chances in the first half. But you can probably see that's a trend. We can go to 45, 50, 60 minutes, and then we just haven't got the legs. We haven't got the energy. And the lads that have stepped into the team are just not able to that have stepped into the team for the lads that are injured. Are just not able to cope at this level.
How do you sort of solve this, or can you solve it? You're obviously working on it in the week.
You don't solve it. You can only solve it with change. Yeah. We need to. We need a different approach, new mentality, fresh players. A number of them players have obviously gone as far as they can. No doubt about their work rate, their attitude. They are trying, but as you see, we're just lacking. We're just lacking in quality. A little bit of nous. Yeah, we are a young team. I get all that. I understand there's some young players playing. I get that. I understand that. But our quality levels have got to be better. Our desire, our hunger has got to be better. But like I say, we'll address it. We'll have to address it, and we'll get. It'll be a tough and a hard working summer for us because we need to freshen the place up.
Probably got away with a bit of sloppiness at times as well.
Oh yeah, there was lots and lots of mistakes and lots of sloppiness and errors and just the basics of the game. And that's players who are tired, who are fatigued, who are not concentrating, who've just lost their way. So look, it's sad looking at us at this moment in time. It's unfair. It's an unfair reflection of us. But like I say, the lads have got to show a bit more hunger, a bit more desire. They've got to show a little bit better. They've got to be better. But there's one or two of them obviously can't handle a little bit of criticism. They go missing. So look, there's lots and lots of work to be done. There's lots of work to be done, and if this club wants to be challenging and pushing on and breaking top 7 next season, there needs to be a lot of fresh faces brought into the change room.
How do you sort of approach the final week now? Because you've obviously been trying everything you can, but it's breaking that pattern's.
Yeah, well, you just gotta. I just gotta bite down on my gum shield and suffer. I'm suffering. Yeah, I am suffering. I don't know whether one or two players take their job serious enough, because football's a precious game, and when you don't win, it hurts. And I just my question to a number of the players in there, not all, but a number, does it hurt them as badly as it does myself and the fans? But like I say, I'm not daft. They're not going to be able to pull the wool over my eyes. I'm an experienced man, player, coach, manager. I have nearly 1,500 games under my belt, and I've not seen a group of lads fall apart. The way we have, we lack leadership. Yes, on the pitch, there's no generals, there's no one to organise them. We don't speak. We can't string passes together. So it's not nice. It's not good. But like I say, the injuries have really hurt us. The injuries have killed us. The 57, 58 games, whatever it is we played this season, that's killed us as well. And we're trying to get game time into some young lads, which is just not working for us either. So anything we're doing at this moment in time is just going against us.
Shorter press conference than usual.
I think there's one word after that. Ouch.
Yeah, it does certainly feel like that. I think the key quote from Graham there is, "Does it hurt you as bad as it hurts me?"
Yeah. I think we're all hurting.
I think we are. The three of us here in the studio, along with our fellow fans.
But we'll try and make you feel better over the next 45 minutes, half hour.
We'll try our best to. But a damning verdict of.
Yeah.
I don't want to say yesterday's game, because I think he spoke more at large about maybe one or two other.
No, I think you're right. I think he's kind of summing up the last few weeks.
Yeah. Walk me through that game, Stephen. We'll go into a little bit more what the manager had to say in a minute. But walk us through that game.
I'll try my best. Yeah. Well, because I think, to start off, I think this was just a huge chance. Given the run that they've been on, is end the season at home on a really high note. Give the fans who've been so brilliant all season something to cheer about, something to go home feeling happy about. That's how I was kind of feeling going into the game. And then the game started. Yeah. I mean, Newport did make a positive start. They had a couple of early chances from set pieces, a great chance for Bogle, as we heard in the commentary. But similar to the Tranmere game, I think Salford began to impose themselves on the game. And that kind of created a flat atmosphere, which was a bit odd. And then I think just Newport were really poor in possession, getting caught on the ball, which nearly resulted in a goal or two. And then the second half, you kind of expect Newport to come out with a bit of fight. As I said, if I'd been Graham Coughlin at half time, all those things that I've just said, I would have been like, right, you've got 45 minutes left of the season, go out there, don't leave anything, leave it all out on the pitch, and let's go and get a result. But yeah, it didn't happen. Yeah, and Salford with the team that probably came out and kind of played marginally better than what Newport did and kind of dominated the second half for me. Yeah, he had to make a few changes. He put Will Evans left back, and Luamba just had to beat him time and time again, which resulted in the goal. But yeah, just a typical end of season fodder, I think I got the feeling, like I said in the commentary, though I don't think we heard it, that one goal will probably win it. And yeah, just really disappointing to end the season on such a low note.
Disappointing indeed. Kieron, do you agree with Stephen's assessment of the game?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really dispute it. We just weren't good enough on the ball and, missed out on opportunities, and credit where credit's due. Salford did what they had to do to get the win, and I was speaking to a few people kind of around the ground during it, and I had said, remember that game we played against Doncaster away a few months ago when all football was good and all life was good? And, it was a bit of a nothing game up until stoppage time. I said this partly as a joke. I said, that's going to be a repeat. It's going to happen that fashion, and little to my surprise, it actually happens. It is what it is. I mean, you look at that game, it was probably one of the most dead rubber, meaningless games in the entirety of the EFL, but the opportunity was there, like we said, to end the season at home on a high note, and unfortunately we've missed out on that chance.
Yeah, a season at home that's been, on the whole, quite positive. We've beaten our points tally at home compared to last season. We've had two Premier League teams here. We held one to a 1-1 draw. We came close to coming back from 2-0 down, doing something. So yeah, on the whole, it has been a positive season in Rodney Parade. You've spoken about injuries. Two players that returned though yesterday after missing the Tranmere game: Matty Bonswell and Scott Bennett. Nice to have one or two players.
Yeah, it's nice to have a couple of players back, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, but Bennett did his best, I suppose. But yeah, I think he had to go off, didn't he? And then Bonswell, yeah. I think having Bonswell back in the team made it a bit more balanced.
Yeah, just then you allow Will Evans to play in his natural position.
And then allows Will Evans to go forward, although we didn't really create anything. But it allowed him to go and do that. But yeah, it's just really, really disappointing. I think one of the key things he said in his press conference was it was lacking in quality, and I think that's the best way to describe yesterday's
He's mentioned
game.
about that
on both sides, they were both lacking in quality.
He's mentioned a lack of quality for. I don't know whether he's mentioned a lack of quality or not having enough quality.
I just think there's just not enough quality all round. I think and like we said about the passing, the getting caught in possession, it was so poor. I was just not used to seeing a new. And like he said, they couldn't even keep the ball. Do you know what I mean? There's like times in that game where you thought, and in previous games as well, have a period of possession and build and create something, but they're not even doing that at the moment, and it's sad to see. Yeah,
Kieron, Stephen just spoke about the really, really poor passing. 250 passes attempted, 120 completed. That gives us a passing accuracy of 48%.
Yeah, not ideal, is it?
No.
Don't get me wrong, passing quality in League 2 isn't, 70, 80, 90% like you're used to in the higher up divisions, and it's acceptable that, one or two passes are misplaced, especially when you talk some of the players that were playing had recently come back from injury, whether you talk Scott Bennett or Matty Bonswell, or you talk the inexperienced players, the ones now coming into the squad, Nelson Sanka being, the main name of that. And it's understandable when numbers are 60% around that kind of area, but you want passes to succeed more than they fail, especially when that statistic goes into it doesn't even talk about long ambitions and long ambitious passes, just simple 3-foot passes, and we miss them more often than we had succeeded with them. So it's not a fantastic statistic, and it goes back to the lack of quality in that game and just in performances in recent weeks.
Yeah, because you look at the Salford team, they've got some pretty good players. They are known to spend in League 2. The likes of Adrian Mariap, who's played in the Premier League, and people like that. But yeah, both sides was really, really poor. Just to pick up on that lack of quality, Stephen, even with everyone still available, do you still see a lack of real quality? Or because as I said, Coughlin, even in January, he said if I sign someone, they need to be of good quality.
Yeah. Well, I think like Kieron said, you don't expect don't expect too much. Obviously, they are they're League 2 for a reason. But yeah, I think that maybe there's been times this season on there where we have lacked that little bit up front, maybe. But then we've kind of combated that by maybe having a good defence. But yeah, it's just going wrong at both ends of the pitch at the moment.
Is it just about trying to find that balance now for next season?
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to that. Yeah.
We will do indeed. And Kieron, we spoke about glowingly last week. He got the sponsors man of the match yesterday, Nelson Sanka. Were you impressed by his performance yesterday?
In all, albeit the game wasn't fantastic and there was a lack of quality from both sides, I think we all agreed off air that Nelson Sanka was the positive to take from it, even in the previous game against Tranmere. You can't complain with him. It's really nice to see a player from the youth academy and the youth rankings getting a chance in the first team, and it's usually something that you always see towards the end of the season when there's nothing to play for. Players are rotated, given their chance, earn contracts, and etc. And to me, I think Nelson Sanka, if you had to take any positives from the recent weeks, it's that Nelson Sanka, Jack Norris, Morgan, Corey Evans, they've been given chances to have experience with the first team, which I think could potentially build the bridge in future for more players to step up from the academy and have that path and that walkway into the first team. Yeah,
especially with Hugh Jenkins and his kind of message of he's going to invest heavily in the youth facilities and try and develop Newport County players.
But I was really impressed with Sanka again yesterday. I think because early on in the game I noticed that he was kind of organising the defence as well, and I think for a guy making his second appearance for the club, for him to be doing that just shows a real maturity as well. And
he's only 17.
I think they've got a bright spark there, honestly. Alright, he did get caught in possession a couple of times, but like I said, it's only his second appearance. You know, he'll learn from that. And yeah, he was up against good strikers yesterday as well. So
Matt Smith, I think he's the joint top scorer in League Two.
And Hendry and the wingers as well are pretty good too. Yeah, so I thought, yeah, you know, 95% of his performance yesterday was really good. Just that 5% where he made a mistake. But I mean, everyone's entitled to make a mistake now and again.
Now that we've seen him in a couple of appearances, going forward into next season, with everyone fit and available, and whoever Graham decides, and you and Chris and all that team decide to go out and sign in the summer, what would you do with him? Would you keep him? Would you play him in, say, Papa John's Trophy games? Would you send him out on loan to get more first team experience? What would you do with... That's a question for both of you. What would you do with Nelson Sanka next season?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the argument probably for him to go out on loan and get, you know, a full season's experience is probably stronger than what I would probably do, is keep him for the EFL Cup and the EFL Trophy games, but then that's only, 3 games a season, maybe 4. So, yeah, it might be better for him to actually go out and have a full season under his belt and then come back then a year older, a year wiser.
Kieron, what would you do with Mr. Sanka?
See, for me, it depends on mainly what business gets done, what the defenders get brought in. Of course, we're accustomed to playing this back 3, back 5, however you want to put it, and we've lacked defenders quite often this season because of the injury list and problems and fitness here and there. So for me, I'm going to go off the basis that we bring in a good 3, 4 centre backs, whatever, just to add that cover. I think he will, if you're to look at it that way, he probably would only feature in the EFL Trophy games, EFL Cup games, early rounds of the FA Cup. Yeah, I think for the 2 games he's played, he's done well enough to argue that he's good enough to feature in league games. I don't think, you know, next season he'll start every game, for example, even if we bring in like no centre-backs, you know, he won't start every game. We'll find ways to filter feed him into the squad as it's put. But yeah, I think there's arguments for both. Personally, I'd like to see him stay and continue to develop here. I think there's a good avenue now, and it's being developed, and it's going to be developed for, like we've said, the youth facilities to get it increased and upgraded, and that narrowing gap between youth academy quality and the first team will become evident, that it will become better off. So for me, I'd keep hold of him for next season. I don't think loaning him out for me is really what we should do, but it also depends who comes in for him on a loan.
Yes, it does. And going back to Graham's press conference, he sounded like a broken man for the past couple of weeks, but he sounded even more broken. I think he's gone beyond
broken now. I think he's I think he's completely shattered.
I think he is.
I suppose it does get to a point where, you know, and like he said, it's hurt, and no doubt he is hurt, and I'm sure the players are as well. So
we know how he feels about losing. So to lose 7 in a row. You did talk about aims for next season, even though we're not finished with this season. Yeah. Said about aiming for top 7.
Oh, aim high.
Aim high, indeed.
But he keeps on giving them these targets, and because when he said that, we were saying off only like 50 points, and they struggled to get to the 50 points initially, and then like, I want 57 now, and they're not. They could still potentially do it, I suppose. But
that's to match last season's total.
They've struggled, haven't they, to kind of get to that. So we'll have to see what happens next Saturday, I suppose.
Hopefully, we won't have any more injuries for next Saturday.
No,
I can't think of who else could get
depends
injured.
What they all got up to last night on their night out, I suppose. You know, might have been a few injuries.
Did they have a night out last night?
Well, it was the end of season awards, wasn't it?
Oh yes, of course it was.
I'm assuming they took themselves off into town afterwards. Yeah.
That's where Lamsey is today.
He's been entertaining Graham Coughlin and Omar Bogle in Atlantica. Yeah.
Playing the finest of Bogues' music, we've been listening to off air.
Bogues went in with a CD, said, "Will you play this for me?" He's like, "Yeah, of course I will." Yeah.
he did say something that I thought was quite interesting. There's people that can't cope at this level. For you, Kieron, what do you think he means by that? Does he mean physically can't cope at the level, mentally can't cope at the level? Or what do you assess of Coughlin's comments?
I mean, his following line, or one of his following lines, was that there's one or two that can't take criticism. So to me, it potentially leans to a mental thing, you know, whether it be the constructive criticism of you need to adapt to play this way or work on this way, and it's not being entirely focused on, is, you know, an interesting argument. I think when you look at most of our squad, you either talk they have joined from League 2, League 1 teams where they were out of favour. You potentially say, okay, they've adapted, you know, they're used to playing this football, maybe not playing as many games and everything. We've also got players, of course, that we've signed from the Welsh leagues, and it's a big jump to go from even the top tier of Welsh football to League 2. It's a very demanding physically and mentally league and step to make. So for me, it could be a mix of both. It could be a mix of physically not being able to adapt and get used to the division, or mentally, you know, not being in it, not almost having the strive to do better and to improve their game and adapt to fit the team the best of their ability.
We spoke about the sponsors man of the match, Nelson Sanker, earlier. It's time to turn to your man of the match, the official Absolute County man of the match. The last one for the 2023-24 season. Your options were Nelson Sanker, Nick Townsend, Matty Baker, or other. Stephen, I'll come to you first.
Yeah.
As hard as it was to pick a couple of names, who was your man of the match?
I can't remember if I kind of went for him last week, but I'm just going to go the same again. Nelson Sanker for me.
Kieron?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's a mix between Nelson Sanker and Nick Townsend for me. I don't think you can really argue, you know, either or. But given it's his second appearance and everything, I'll say Nelson Sanker as well.
65% of people agree with both of you.
Oh, that's two on the run I've had now. That's a first for me.
That is a first.
Yeah.
Nelson Sanker is the sponsors man of the match, and he is your man of the match. He is the official Absolute County man of the match. Keep an eye on there. We might have one or two more polls for you towards the end of the actual campaign itself. But in other news, Stephen, what's next?
Yeah, well, I'd like to look at why we can't hold on to leads.
If you're employed by Newport City Homes, you have access to financial services which are going to help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
I'd like to ask, why have we run out of ideas? So for this, so in the last couple of games, I've noticed that it's kind of taken us to like there's around the 70th minute just of a shot on target in the second half. Like yesterday against Salford, we only had 6 shots, 2 on target, and only 1 which was off target in the second half. Tranmere 10 shots, 4 on target, 3 shots in the second half, 1 on target. Accrington 8 shots, 2 on target, 1 on target in the second half. And I just think this is a sign of a team that's badly running out of ideas. So I'm going to ask the question, why are we running out of ideas? So I'm going to come to our very special guest, Kieron. Why have we run out of ideas?
I mean, there's a good few reasons. I think we talk about momentum being such an important part of football, and when you have negative momentum, it works the same way. You know, there's almost a negative feel, and this could potentially lead to us not wanting to be positive in the way we play football. Positive meaning, you know, attacking, free-flowing like we've seen at many points this season, and potentially the team are wanting instead to break this losing streak and work on their defensive abilities as opposed to the offensive abilities we've seen this season. So there's that to take into consideration, and I think the other thing to really kind of mention why we've not been so great in terms of finding ideas, especially when you talk attackingly, is because the way we used to play relied on a high energy, high tempo pressing game, you know, capitalising on stereotypical League 2 errors, League 2 weaknesses. I was speaking to a Salford fan just after the game, and he was talking about how Curtis Tilt, for example, is prone to an error, whether that be a heavy touch or a misplaced pass. You know, stereotypical things that League 2 players do. And we used to capitalise on that really easily because, you know, the energy levels we'd have and the tempo we'd have would mean we'd press it, we'd win the ball high up the pitch, and it wouldn't take too long for us to have more options than they did in terms of an attacking transitions. I think because of the energy, because we've lost the energy as well, you know, we're not able to admittedly win the ball up in the offensive positions, and instead we're, again, it talks to the mental thing of wanting to just break the curse of losses. We're sitting back, we're trying to traverse through the midfield, and we don't really have the creativity in midfield to utilise it. It used to always be, or at least for the main parts, positivity, the wing backs, and everything used to get involved. So yeah, there's a mixture of, in my opinion anyway, the wanting to, you know, break the curse of losses and thinking that we can just defend better than we can attack in current circumstances, which may be true. The injury list and the lack of creativity in midfield has meant we're not able to counter-attack, and we're not able to create that opening for us to make chances. And then you've got the of course, as Graham Coughlin mentions in what feels like every press conference after matches now, that we're out of energy, and that was a big part towards our positive attacking play.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Mr. Luke Lewis.
Hello.
Have you got anything to add about why we've run out of ideas?
Our top 4 assisters were all out injured.
Yeah.
If you look at, this is League 2 only.
Yeah.
If you look, top assister Shane McLaughlin on 6 assists is out. Lewis Payne on 5 assists is injured. Adam Lewis on 4 assists injured. Aaron Walding on 4 assists injured.
Yeah.
Even James Clark and injured. He's on 3 assists. So yeah, that's about 21, 22 assists.
Yeah, it's quite a few, isn't it?
But
my maths isn't my strong point, so...
You're missing. We do still have, obviously, some of our top scorers, pretty much all of them. Well, Aaron's on 21, Omar Bogle on 7, Bruno Morris on 7, Seb on 7. They're still available, but they're just not getting the service.
Yeah, I think I think you've both hit on the 2 key things, actually, Kieron. Your point about the pressing is spot on, and I think the other thing is the service from the wide areas from people like McLaughlin, Adam Lewis, from the centre of the pitch, Wildig. I think we've cracked it.
Anything you'd like to add on your talking point there, Stephen?
No, I think you've kind of covered it really. Yeah, and then just to kind of back up like what you're saying about the lack of service. I mean, Will Evans has only got 1 goal in his last 11. Seb's only got 1 in his last 9.
Is that since Shane has been out injured, or?
I don't know. I've just written this down. So. Bogle, no goals in his last 5, but then he was playing deeper. Zanzala only 1 in the last 11. Failed to score in 6 of the last 11 matches, which kind of says it all, really, doesn't it? So, Luke, what are we going to talk about next?
Coming up next, I'd like to talk about where do we go next.
If you are employed by a Newton-Bevan University Health Board, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now. Newport City Radio.
And so for the final talking points of the 2023-2024 season, I'd like to talk about where do we go next. Obviously we got Bradford next weekend away from home as the last game of the season, and I just can't wait for that final whistle to go in that game. But then after that, we all know what usually comes with, and Graham's spoken about it already, contracts and the released and retained list.
Yeah.
And I think we were looking at the seriously when there's only 7 players contracted for next season at this current stage.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Shopping. Yeah, we're going to hit the sales and maybe find some bargains. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, looking at the players potentially out the contract. Yeah, I think we looked at it. What was it? We had a goalkeeper, 3 centre backs, 2 midfielders, and a centre forward
who hasn't scored since joining the club.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we kind of having these conversations every year, aren't we?
Yeah. I think that's just stereotypical League Two.
Yeah,
though
high turnover of players. I mean, there's potentially some players could stay, but yeah, I think what they need to look at now, they need to get the recruitment right over the summer. And I think that's kind of what Graham was saying in his press conference, the kind of people they're going to look at. I think, because as we just said, it showed that we haven't got, you take Wilding out of the team, there's no creativity. So I think we've said it in January, didn't we? We needed a creative midfielder and centre-backs, and that's where we've come up short. Yeah, for me as well, as we've spoken about, the wide areas, especially wing-backs, hopefully maybe if Adam Lewis gets released, maybe get him on the permanent. That'd be nice.
Matty Baker, I know his contract is up
Baker,
this summer.
Yeah. Let him go. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's good, I suppose, because if you've got Delaney and Clark, Delaney's out of contract as well, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
So the players, as we alluded to, who are in contract for next season are Nick Townsend, Josh Seabury, Carl Jameson, James Clark, Bryn Morris, and...
Did you say Shane McLaughlin?
Shane McLaughlin and Luke Jeffcott.
Yeah. So
are you with confidence for next season and that playoff push that Graham talk about?
I know, yeah. Yeah, maybe a 7-a-side league, but I don't know about League 2. But yeah, but me and Chris were talking about this yesterday, and what I would do is, one of the things that I would do is look at the teams that have gone down. Like, I'm going to use an example, Forest Green Rovers.
There are some good players at
There's some good players there. I've written 2 down.
Okay.
Don Bernard, who's a left back.
Yep.
He's not a bad player. Matty Stevens, the forward.
Yes.
I would definitely
scored 23 goals in their promotion season a couple of years ago.
That's the kind of thing that I would do. I kind of target people like that. That's my idea.
Kieron, we've seen that kind of happen. I want to take you to Mansfield and Davis Keeler Dunn, who went down with Oldham a couple of years ago, had a bit of a spell at Burton, was it, in League 1, and I was made to step back down to League 2 and is ripping it up and was one of their key players in getting promoted. So that does work.
Oh, it does work, 100%. Even this season, you've had Liam Kelly, who's moved from Rochdale when they went down. He's moved to Crawley, and he's doing well in their unlikely, or rather not unlikely, but definitely unlikely at the start of the season playoff push. So, bringing in players from teams recently relegated does work, and I think our transfer policy, if you want to put it that way, won't change too much in the summer. It'll be the using 5 loan slots as we usually do, bringing in players that have been released from potential League 1 clubs, ones that have been relegated to the National League, etc. But yeah, I suppose the thing I said off of there, and the thing that I've kind of alluded to a lot this season, is one, Stephen's already mentioned it to a degree, we lack creativity. Without Wildig, it's really difficult to create really anything down the middle of the park, and that's why losing the wing-backs has been so influential, because they were the only other form of creativity we were getting, and the only other form of service. Bringing in creativity in the midfield, I think, it should be most vital. But the other thing I've said, which, whether it be popular or not, I think you look at the starting 11 we've got, if everyone's fully fit, and this is, you're ignoring the subs and reserves here, I think it's a team that can generally challenge the top 7. When we've had players fit, like for example in January, we didn't lose a league game in January. We were very solid in February, and this is before all the injuries came in. So I think in terms of a a genuine starting 11. If everyone's fit, we've got a very good squad, but we've not got the players and everything else to cover when injuries happen, because it's bound that it's going to happen. Whether it is going to be to the extent that we've had it this season or in seasons prior is a different question. But in terms of where we go next, I'd hope, one, to Bradford, I'd hope we show up. Then two, I'd hope we look into the market for creativity. I think it's a thing that we've all mentioned anyway, and I think it's a thing that Graham Coughlin's even mentioned that we've lacked it at points this season. And then bringing in the kind of depth to cover and, you know, have the rotational options should and when injuries do come in.
Because I think that's been the key thing for me this season, is that lack of depth. You know, we've seen 2 or 3 centre-backs get injured, and all of a sudden you just see us completely change the way we play. And I don't use the word capitulate, but there has been a capitulation over the past few games. So yeah, how many players, just one number from both of you, how many players do you think will sign over the summer?
How many will we sign?
7 at the moment. How many will we sign, and will we see a clear out of players out of contract? Because there are quite a few out of contract.
I think there will definitely be a clear out. Yeah, I think. Well, how many have we got? 7. So
7.
Potentially we need probably a squad of 20, at least 22, 23, I would say. So that's quite a few. Yeah.
Kieron?
But I say you add in 5 or 6 loan players.
Yeah.
Depends who stays as well. So.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a massive clear out in terms of players that are out of contract. I think that, you know, as I alluded to earlier, I think the squad, when it is fully fit, it's capable of challenging for top half minimum, or we've been in playoff and even automatic promotion form at some point this season. So I think, you know, you could probably look at 1 or 2 players that may not get the renewal for whatever reason, but yeah, I think the squad size you're looking for ideally 2 starting 11s and then a few extra players. If we're talking, we've got 7 players now, and you maybe want 24 players in the squad. I mean, that's 17. So whether that happens is a different question. But if you're counting, of course, the renewal of contracts as signings, to put it, then I think that the squad size of 24, 25 is definitely achievable, and like we've mentioned, using the 5 loan slots again will be incredibly vital.
Thanks, guys. Coming up next, we will be talking next game predictions. If you're employed by Newport City Council, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
As I did allude to there, we've got one last game to go. We're away to Bradford City next Saturday on the 27th of April. Stephen, will come to you first. How will we end the campaign?
Well, I'd love to say that we're going to win, but part of me just thinks that we're probably going to lose. But I'll end on a positive. We'll win 1-0.
1-0. County, Kieron?
You know what? I'd also love to be incredibly positive, but in terms of recent weeks, you can't back it. Bradford have potential playoffs to look at and potential playoffs to go for. So in typical Newport fashion, you know what? We'll go a goal fest to end the season. Why not? 3-2 County win.
Oh, 3-2 County. I agree with you, Stephen. I think it'll be 1-0 either way if we can keep it nice and tight and nice and compact at the back, and who knows where we go from there. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kieron.
Of course, no worries.
Last one, as I said, last regular ramble of the season. Hopefully we'll hear much more from you next season in August, maybe even hear you on our end of season review, which will be coming up quite shortly. Keep an eye on the social media for that. Thank you for taking the time out to listen today. As always, we'd love to read your thoughts about our thoughts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram via direct message. Also, we're on email, contact@newportcityradio.org. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll catch you soon. as we look back in amber on the 2023-24 season as a whole, with more talking points, more banter and more top class analysis. Keep an eye on social media, we'll let you know when we're live.